We have Jacquelin Smith. And so, very happy to introduce Jacquelin because she is, I initially met Jacquelin when I was writing the Walk Ins book, and we've just remained friends throughout the entire time. And she's been a great friend, a wonderful support. And, my heart just goes out to Jacquelin. She's a wonderful person, and I'm so happy we get to share her with you guys today. And Jacquelin is an internationally known star and animal communicator and light linguistic. She's a hybrid and has been communicating with star beings and animals since childhood. She does light language sessions which activate people for clearing old patterns and becoming more authentic. Jacquelin is the author of the books, of 3 books, including The Star Beings in the Mirror. And Jacquelin, I hope you'll be talking to us a little bit about your books today and maybe even sharing some light language with us. So, welcome, Jacquelin.
Thanks so much, Sheila. It's a real honor and joy to be able to be um, part of this today. So,
Wonderful.
yeah, so I wanted to start with just sharing how I became a hybrid. And when my mother was pregnant with me, she was taken aboard a starship. And the star beings injected her with what I call a cocktail of 7 types of DNA from 7 different races. So I was genetically altered, and I had awareness of this even before I came into the body. So, of course, in the larger sense, we're all hybrids, we're all part of a hybridization program. So, being genetically altered, I have those 7 different DNAs within me. So, I wanted to talk a little about how star beings create hybrids, just some of the ways that they do that. So, and these are personal experiences that I have had. So, when I was a teenager, the star beings implanted an embryo in me. Actually, that happened a couple of times. And then they would come and remove the embryo. And for me, it was a positive experience in that they had this technique or technology to, we could say, place light in the womb and then lift that embryo out, take it to the ship, and continue to allow that embryo to grow. Another way that I've experienced is they came and told me they took a strand of my hair, which has my DNA, and they created hybrid children through the strand of my hair. And so actually, I have about 40 hybrid children, and I have communicated with them. I continue to communicate with them. And they have these technologies where they are able to take the embryo and then to help develop that embryo into a hybrid. When they create hybrids, it's always with intention and set with the intention of what that hybrid will be doing, what their mission will be. And so I've communicated with many star being, many hybrids and hybrid children who share with me what they're doing in other star systems. So the intention of the hybridization program is for the sake of evolution. It is also really important for the sake of diversity and putting it, I guess, in its simplest form, the creator expressing itself through many different life forms to know itself. So some of the star beings I've communicated with in other star systems who are hybrids, who have human DNA with them, have communicated with me that they are sharing with others about the human DNA as well as star being DNA. So they are actually teaching this, just like we might be learning about the different races, the Arcturians or Zetas or whoever, that they are going into other star systems and teaching others about the human DNA. And I thought this was really cool. One hybrid who I communicated with, he showed me this, that when he was in another star system, holographically, he would create the construct of a human to share what a human looks like. And I thought that was really wonderful that they are talking about humans elsewhere. And so all the hybrids are bridges. My star children have shared with me all the different kinds of things they are doing in other galaxies. So I have a son who we could say is like an engineer, but he's working on the light grids throughout many of the star systems. We could call it an internet. So again, the importance of the hybrid program, I don't think it can be stated enough how important it is, because without it, where would we be in terms of evolution? And there are many hybrid children now being integrated into the earth plane. I have a daughter who is hybrid, and she lives in another country, and she and I communicate telepathically. And I always love that. I probably will never meet her in person. But when she was on the ship, when I would visit her on the ship, she was the one who looked most like me, the way I did when I was a child. So they were able, my star parents are tall white Zeta masters. I call them my star parents. And they integrated her into this world. So they are learning, just like we are, more about ways to create hybrid children and to integrate them on the earth plane. And the intention of them being on the earth plane is to help raise the frequencies, to help activate and raise the DNA within humanity. So, and there are more and more children coming in. And from my perspective, it gives a lot more hope that these star children are coming in. They already know who they are, what they're here to do, and just have amazing talents and skills. And so they are teaching and activating and will be humanity in a very big way. So I think that's, to me, that's really exciting. And I also had the opportunity, when I was on the starship as a children, I was starting around the age of 3, I was on the starship most nights, actually, up through being a teenager. So I had the opportunity to spend time with the hybrid children there. And there's a wide variety of the hybrid children. So when I walked into the room, to be with the hybrid children. They were all colors. I mean, it was like walking into a room full of rainbows. And so there are many different races that, we don't even know about, who have their own hybridization programs as well. So they are creating all kinds of hybrids. And again, there's the full spectrum of hybrids. So I have the opportunity with the ship I was on, these were very highly evolved beings on the ship. So I've had, on the ship, I was with 8 other children. We were in a class, we were taught all kinds of things, levitation and energy balls as well. So again, I think that what's wonderful, what's happening now is that people are awakening to this globally. Everybody wants to know their star origin. And I have the opportunity and privilege of being able to tap into their star origin, to share the race that they are connected to. So when the soul first sparked off from the creator, we have the soul, we have the divine love, and next to that we have a star origin, which is a frequency that runs through all of our lifetimes. So we could call it our key frequency, but we've been star beings in many lifetimes. So another way that hybrid children are created, I had the incredible opportunity of merging with a mantis on the ship. And it was energetically but there was a mix of our DNA and right before me, there were these mantis beings, these little baby mantis beings. And so they actually came out of like spheres. It wasn't exactly egg shaped. So I got to watch them right before my eyes develop from the embryo state to being teenage mantis hybrids, actually within seconds, because the mantis beings are master geneticists and they are very good at knowing how to monitor all these things. So the hybrid children can grow up very, very quickly. It's not like the human, or they can slow it down. And they decide that depending on how things are. I have seen tanks on the ships of the hybrid children. And I've also seen hybrid, the embryos. I have seen like rooms of, I call it spheres, where the beings, the hybrid beings are developing within those spheres, and it's transparent. I could see into the sphere and watch those beings develop. And again, some of them may come out of that sphere or egg within, it could be seconds, it could be days, it could be years. So they have the ability, again, to monitor that. I like to think of the celestial or the spheres as an egg, and these hybrids, and they, was so amazing and cool to me is the hybrid babies knew when they were ready to come out of the spheres. And so they would automatically kind of start to stick their fingers through this gel-like material, which that gel-like material was feeding them, just like we are fed by our mothers with the umbilical cord. So they were being fed with this gel-like substance. So when they were ready to come out, they would start putting their fingers through the sphere, and they would start emerging. So I had the wonderful privilege and opportunity of seeing that happen. And then there were the guardians, I call them the guardians of the hybrid children, who would come and then assist those hybrid babies after they emerged from the spheres. And then the hybrid children on the ship, they were being raised with unconditional love. The ship I was on was about unconditional love. There were mantis beings. Again, my star parents are tall white Zeta masters. Their name was Zazu and Amitha. And I still visit them, or they come and visit me. So there was this program, this hybridization program on the ship. It was a key part of what they were doing. And then they were teaching. There were eight of us children from Earth, where they were teaching us. And so the hybrid children would teach us about their abilities, and we would teach the hybrid children more about being human. So I had fun teaching some of the hybrid children like nursery rhymes, like patty cake. And it was great fun. And then that was carried on through my hybrid children in their DNA, as well as in the DNA of the children on the ship, and then their children as well. And so they were very interested in our emotions. And so they were developing their emotions to a greater extent than they had before that with these hybrid children. They were showing more emotions than previous generations. And so for me, both of my parents, I come from a bloodline where both of my parents were connected with star beings going back many, 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 many generations. So on a soul level, I chose that, and they chose me as well. And so the hybrid children are really amazing. And another way of creating that I work with all the time when I work with clients is the star beings show me this, that the different groups, when they first were, when there were the purer races before the hybrids started to happen, what they would do is energetically, they would merge with other races intentionally, which started creating hybrid races. And so from that, of course, then we have diversity within the DNA and expansion within the races. So this is why we have so many hybrid races, because in the beginning, when they merged energetically, it was on every level. That could be etherically, they could merge quasi-physically or physically, and the DNA would be in the hybrid children that they create. And I've watched them do this many, many times. And it's quite amazing to me. They just energetically join, and then there are these hybrid children. So I think it's, where we are at now, we are really evolving and heading toward everyone becoming more awake globally. More people are becoming awake. More people want to know their star origins. They want to know more about how that works, where they're from, what they're doing here. A lot of people are interested and ask me, what is my mission here? And they are connecting to their star families. We've been star beings in many other lifetimes before. So I think that with what's going on now, this the evolution is just going to continue. And I think we're going to be seeing wonderful things. And one thing that the star beings, all the star beings that I communicate, talk with, just the basic messages, which I think are important, that we are all one. And they always tell me that joy is a very high frequency, that if we do what we love, then we're doing our mission, whatever that might be. And everyone is going to know that from within their heart. It really doesn't come from the head, but it comes from within their heart. Many of the hybrid children, I call them children, many of the hybrid beings, they know what their missions are. So when they are on the ship and they are working with the beings there to prepare them to go into other star systems, they already know what they're going to be doing. For them, it's more of an innate kind of thing. So I have some children. I keep calling them children. I have some hybrid children who are artists, and they show me incredible art that they do from their heart. And it's holographic. It's very cool. It's multi-dimensional. And so I have the opportunity to see that and experience that. They have instruments we don't have that are holographic, that sound similar to a violin or cello, but not really, because they can play all these other spectrums of frequencies that we don't really have the ability to do on Earth. And so with all this going on, everyone is waking up to that they are multidimensional beings, and which is very key. And I've gone through the process of integrating my multidimensional selves from other selves from my soul who are star beings into my field. And so in doing that, it we could say it also brought in that DNA from other aspects of who I am. And years ago, I had to work to integrate these multidimensional selves and into my fields. So there, it brought the DNA of who they were, which is really me, into my field in a way that I have access to. And everyone is doing this in one way or another, more so if they're open to it, but we all have multidimensional selves. And so it's a very important period of time now that we are integrating our multidimensional selves. And with that, we are integrating all these other strands of our DNA so that we can understand who we are as a whole being. And so obviously this is from the soul. So as we continue to get in touch with our multidimensional selves and awaken and to understand that we are star beings, it in turn awakens the soul and allows the soul to be more conscious on a number of levels as well. So, and I think that light language, I wanted to mention light language. When I grew up on the ship, light language, there were codes on the walls of the ship. There aren't really walls on the ship, it's all holographic. And the ship is an organic being. But I used to stick my fingers into the codes, the light codes on the walls. And so when I did that, they would come out of the wall and they would start dancing with me and through me, which was raising my frequencies. And also I feel they were working with helping me integrate the DNA from all these star being aspects of myself, but it was great fun. And so I wanted to mention that light language, light language is speaking light. And it's sacred geometry. We could call it the cosmic voice. And from my perspective, I feel like it is our next step in the evolutionary process. And I'm working with many people with light languages and star languages. So the star languages flow through me when I work with people and when I speak the star languages. I'm speaking them every day to myself, to the universe, saying prayers in light language. That these are very high frequency languages that come from the star beings. And actually all our languages here are from the star beings. So they can sound very, very familiar. And light language has the ability to heal people, to release old patterns. It shifts their DNA. And what I love about light language is that being able to shift DNA, the light language works on all levels. It works within the cells, it works within our fields, it works with our soul, it works with our psyche. So when the languages come through, they know what that person needs. So for me, it can be an easier way to clear things out, to let go of old patterns, to open doors for healing. So genetically, language is natural for humans. And I feel that light language is also natural for humans to speak. I believe it's an innate gift or quality that we have, just like telepathy, even though many people are not aware of that they're communicating telepathically often, but they're just not aware of it. So with the light language, it many people are speaking it globally. It's like a wildfire at this point, which I love. And it's awakening many people to themselves, to ascension, and it is helping them to evolve in their own life, in their own process. So light language activates what we would call the dormant junk DNA. So it has this ability to open all kinds of amazing abilities: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, to be that new human, to be evolving. And so light language is very joyful. It blisses me out. It's fun. It's easy. And so everyone, again, has the ability to learn light language. And so I have the wonderful opportunity to work with people who are interested in pursuing that for their own evolutionary process. They want to be more awake. And so that it's an amazing way to awaken the DNA. And so that's going on very deep levels with people. Also, in terms of the light language, it can be sung, it can be written, it can be danced, it can be toned, it can be expressed in whatever way. It can be expressed through our hands. So whatever way it wants to come out, it can come out for someone. So, but the key thing is a lot of the children coming in now are speaking light language, or they're coming in speaking their star languages. And I find that fascinating. Like some people I've talked to have shared with me that they're saying, my child is speaking light language. So I'm speaking light language back to them. And for some of the adults who aren't speaking light language, the child can activate that and is activating that within their parent or within the adult, which I think is just so beautiful. And so now we are seeing parents and children speaking these languages that they are bringing in, you know, from other dimensions, from the stars, however you want to say that. And so I think we're going to be seeing this expand throughout the world in a bigger way. And we can say prayers with light language. I pray a lot in the languages because my mind's not in the way, my ego's not in the way. And whatever comes through, it knows that energy, that language, that might be a star language, it might be the language of Divine Mother, Divine Father, comes through to support that person. So that's very exciting to me. And also working with animals, I have found the light languages to support them. It can help heal them. They don't have the ego in the way. So they are able to take in the light languages through every cell of their being. There's no resistance. They're just taking it in. And I've had some experiences with animals. One day I was walking in the woods in the field, and there was a rabbit there, and I looked at that rabbit. I kind of stopped and I started speaking light language. And usually rabbits will turn and run off. Well, this rabbit sat there and looked at me, and just sat there and looked at me the whole time I was speaking light language, and I could feel that she was receiving it. So I love to do lots of light language blessings for the world. I pray for Gaia every day, and many people and beings as well. I like to say prayers for the star beings, those who we call star beings. Also, they are in their own process of evolution as well. And so it is not always easy for them in their evolutionary process. We might think that, but that's not always the case. So at this time, we are really coming together on many levels with the star beings. You could say we are meeting more deeply in frequency, and with our DNA shifting and being activated and awakening, it is easier for them to communicate with us. And it's easier for people to then get in touch with their star families as well. So I think more people are just awake now that they have a star family, which I think's amazing. I mean, I've been doing this work a really long time. So I love to see how all of this is opening and evolving. So light language is sacred geometry and works within those structures within each person as well. It can bring balance and harmony within all of the bodies, but there are the sacred geometric constructs, that we are. So it works on a really deep level. When I was on the ship, the star beings and I spoke many, many different star languages. So it's I just continue to do that, and usually know who's coming through. And sometimes they may give me the interpretation, sometimes not. To me, it's not that important because it can be nice though, but it bypasses the mind ego. So it works on really, to me, really deep levels that we are ready to work with. And so I see it as a great gift at this time. Not everyone has to speak light language, it's up to them, but that ability is there. And so like for some people, it's more natural for them to be, say, clairvoyant. Another person might be geared toward clairaudience or clairsentience. So we all have our gifts and talents, and I'm just sharing with you some of my experiences. I loved being on the ship with the star beings and learning, or I should say remembering all the different languages that they shared with me. So, and I write about a lot of my experiences in my book, Star Being in the Mirror, My Journey as a Hybrid, because I wanted to share my experiences, hoping that it will help support other experiencers who have been through similar experiences, and hopefully people reading it just because they're curious and want more information about who star beings are, and maybe someone has seen a UFO, they're curious, and so by reading my book and other books, it can help activate and awaken them. I've had many people tell me reading my book has activated them, and that they started remembering memories of being on ships and connections with other star beings. So that's a real gift to me. So evolution will go on and on, continue. And it's really, to me, it's very exciting to see humanity really embracing themselves as cosmic beings, that they are much more than they think they are. And so, and the DNA can be activated in so many ways, and through music, through art, through singing. There are many ways that is actually happening now. So with the different kinds of DNA, there's, of course, we have the physical and we have the quasi-physical, and there's etheric. So the star beings are working on all these levels with the DNA in various ways, and the different races have different hybridization programs. They are not all the same. And so I'm sharing some of my the experiences that I have had with the star beings who I have been connected with in this life. And so the tall white Zeta Masters, again, who I refer to as my star parents, I have known them in past lives. So not only do I have the bloodline of both of my parents, but I also have the relationship with the tall white Zeta Masters from past lives that we could say kind of created the choice, where my soul made the choice to come in and be a hybrid. And they also chose me. So it's a mutual understanding. And I consider myself a bridge. I consider the hybrids as bridges to just keep connecting with other races, to continue to raise the frequencies, to shift DNA, for all beings to continue to evolve. And also, I've had the wonderful opportunity to create star music, which is fun for me. They just come through and play the music through me. And they have shared with me that the music, the different notes that come through with are all specific frequencies, or the chords that come through with are all specific for shifting DNA. And then I combine light language with that, a particular, for example, let's say the Lyran star music comes through, and then I will speak the Lyran star language. So it gives it a lot of power in terms of being able to activate people. Again, it can heal people. It can clear people. It can help them come into better harmony with themselves. It can awaken them on all kinds of levels. And we all know how powerful music can be, right? So it's it just opens us up on all kinds of levels and within our field. So I think that's exciting. And so these are new things that I continue to learn about and to share with people. And also I had a being come through. She calls herself light being. And I wanted to share this drawing came through. I just sat down and just channeled it. And I think it's quite interesting what she looks like. And her purpose, she told me, is for helping people to integrate their multidimensional selves and to shift their DNA. And if you look at her, she kind of looks like DNA, her body. So, she, to me, she looks like a very, very happy being. And I love to on paper put down the different codes, all the light codes that these wonderful star beings come through with, which can then in turn help others. So I love to share them. I have hundreds and hundreds of them. And so one I wanted to share too, this one's in my book. The mantis beings are very highly evolved. I consider them one of the most ancient races. They help to create the cosmic grids as well as the grids for Earth. So these codes are very complex. They're multidimensional. So when I draw these, they are multidimensional. So people hang them up in their homes, and it actually, the energy is through their whole house. So this one's from the mantis being, and it's a really powerful, wonderful way to activate DNA and the dormant DNA to open again to our natural gifts and talents that we have, that many people are getting in touch with now. So mantis beings are great fun. They spent 3 days with me giving me that transmission, because every stroke, every line is very particular that they give me. So that's been a wonderful gift to me. So I'd like to, I think I'll speak a little, we'll see who comes through and or if there's any message. So with the light language, the star languages. Amaha kodehi umashakaya tai nahanakai umadaya nakai nakaya nukusu amashato tanahaye unakaye unukuto tamahari ushukuturo kureyeta muturaku anahaya Uwata yeta nahaya, uwata nahashia kayakana, uwata ilikuturu kuramaharieta, ushuku ananate nahai, umaka iya nana, na uanahia, kai kutoa, ushuku lakai onata iya ikonkona ona ye, Uyana koyana kayana koya shiona hayana. Uleke amahala yana haya onko umakariita nanatai. Ushiku anakayana ho umakorite kara ata ite kriya tanahai umakatai. Okay, so that came through from the Arcturians, and there was also a mix in there of Zeta, and so they were simply bringing through frequencies to bless everyone and also to activate everyone into more joy. So I'd like to thank them.
Oh, that was absolutely beautiful. I love to hear your light language. It's such a sweet resonance. It just kind of washes over me. I love it.
Thank you, Sheila.
Would you possibly be able to bring through also some of the mantis?
Mm.
I love to hear them too. I love your light language.
Okay.
I'm an addict.
Thank you, Sheila. Okay. Anaka koko ana hayakai. Unanga ka ikuto atati amakaya kakia kakaya. Ukaka kakaya, kukakakaya. Kukakakaya, kutala hataki ilekataha. Ujokoto kadala hi kiki kakakaya. Ukutala kakakakakai. Sikiki kakana kakakai. Umakatata iyo no tata ie na kaya na daya kakia kikia. Ushakoto na isha. Umakikia kakai na kakakakai. Umakikia na tata mo bakika tata e inekikia kakaya kakaya kakai. Umakikia kukotata ia kakaya. Kikia kakai.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
They always make me laugh.
I know they're precious. Okay, I have a bunch of questions for you.
Okay.
All right. One of the first things I want to ask you is how were your parents chosen? Because I'm sure that they just can't pick anyone at random to do this specialized hybridization that they did with you, because I know you said that you've got the 7 different genetics. So was there something special about your mom that allowed her to be able to carry you in this way?
Well, my mother also had past life connections with the tall white Zetas. And her mother before her, and her mother before her, and her mother before her. And a similar connection also with my father, where there was a connection with the tall white Zetas as well, and his father, and his father, and his father. So I've been shown and told that it's just, and it goes way back. And then the soul had chosen that, they had chosen ahead of time to do this.
Okay, wonderful. Now, was your mom aware of any of this going on a conscious level?
I think definitely on a subconscious with some comments she made to me. And if it was on conscious level, she never said anything to me.
Got it.
So I think she was very frightened. Yeah, which would make sense.
Oh, sure.
I wasn't exactly a normal child. So what do you do with that? It's like,
Right.
where's this kid from?
Right. Okay. And then I had another question about the tanks. A lot of people talk about going on ships and seeing these rooms they're just like massive rooms that have, tanks stacked on top of each other in a wall and the whole 9 yards. And then you were mentioning that when it was time for the birthing process, that the infant would basically just kind of reach out in that process. They would help to break that gel membrane apart. So I'm wondering, do hybrid children, or are hybrid children born with a much more developed mind? Because I know you also said then that the nannies, there were nannies that would take care of them, etc. So, I'm just wondering if the infant mind is an infant mind, or are they born much more developed? Can you talk to that?
They're developed much more developed. They're born much more developed than we are on Earth, because of the star being DNA and genetics, all of that. So, and they have nannies to help be guides for them, to help them integrate their DNA and the human DNA. Just like we have to integrate our star being DNA, they were integrating the human. And so when I would go visit them and hold them and love them, I was enhancing that human DNA within them and helping them understand that that was a part of them as well.
Okay, that makes sense. And then this might be a loaded question, but I gotta ask it. Okay. So you mentioned, one of the comments you made was, where would we be without the hybridization program? And so I was wondering if you could give an example of where you think humanity might be without this program.
Honestly, I'm just going to give my perspective. I mean, I respect humanity and all their gifts, and the star being DNA within them. But I just feel without the hybridization programs that we would not be getting very far at all. We've already had a hard time. So those doors are opening more now, which is very exciting. But I just think it would not be, I think it would be very slow.
Yeah. And if you don't want to share this, that's fine. But I know that you had quite an experience around Thanksgiving several years ago. And I was wondering if you could share with people a little bit about what happened to you.
You mean with the hybrid children?
When you were taken on the ship for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, gosh. I mean, that's a long story, but I was taken on during Thanksgiving 2013. I was taken on a mothership, and it was just amazing. I was there with many other star beings, and I would shapeshift into who I was, I was able to shapeshift into the different 7 aspects of who I am, a star being. Especially when I was around like other Octurian Zetas or Mantis beings, I could just shift. But I had they did surgeries on me, and also through all of this, they did surgeries on my eyes. And before Thanksgiving, I had to use glasses to read the computer. And then right after this experience, I put on my glasses and I couldn't read. And I took them off and I could read the computer perfectly. So it was an amazing experience of being it felt like going home to me, being with other beings. And I had the opportunity to receive these healings, to also do healings on other beings, and to see my hybrid children, and especially the one who is here on Earth. So it was it was an experience that was amazing. When they came to pick me up, there was like a scout ship, and I was literally at the window going, "I'm here, come get me," because and they gave me a choice. They go, "Do you want to go or not?" And I'm going, "Yeah, right, I'm going." So it was just so much fun. I was like waving out at the scout ship. And they go, "Okay, lay down. We're coming to get ya." And then I was just out. And then we were entering the ship. So it's a great story to read about, in my book, if people are interested. And many things were happening around my house. A ship flew out of the portal above my house, and I stood there and watched it, which was amazing. It was an organic ship. Everything in my house was crazy with the electromagnetic fields. Crystals were moving around by themselves. And I mean, literally, I put a crystal on a table, it disappeared. And for some reason, I knew to look under my bed, and there it was. So molecular changes happened with an owl statue I had. Those photos are in the book. So, I mean, this went on for months. And I knew they had taken me physically. I had implants taken out. I mean, and I knew they had, when I came back, my pillow was at the other end of the bed, and sheets were folded, which I never do. And it was their way of telling me that it had taken me physically. And I got to go into other dimensions and clean up some karma in other dimensions, which was a real gift. And it took me quite a while to integrate all of that.
I'll bet. Okay, so I've got a couple questions from our audience. I'll quit taking up all your time and ask their questions, but I just always love. It's like, oh, okay, I've got another one for you. Okay, so Bonnie is wondering if she could hear some light music, please.
Oh, I don't have the ability to do that today. Yeah.
Okay. And then Jimmy is asking, says, I may have missed this earlier, but what age did you become conscious of your star self and your contact hybridization?
Well, it was a process. It was a journey through my life. But I had some memories, a couple of memories, I would say, in my teens. And then more later in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I became more conscious. I knew I was a star being. Then later, I understood that I was a hybrid. And so it was a unfolding kind of process to integrate all of that. And the Thanksgiving experiences, I call them, integrated all of that for me. And I had to integrate my star selves from my soul. Which was a trip. Yeah.
All right. And then we have another question from Jimmy, and he's wondering, was the scout ship a cigar shape?
No.
Okay.
This one was a metallic round saucer. I really felt like I was in a sci-fi movie. I mean, I was standing at the window going, I feel like I'm in a sci-fi movie. Seeing the scout ship right next to my window, and everything I had seen before that, I felt like it was a movie.
Wow. Okay.